Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with NXT broadcast live last night on the CW from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. The show ended with a surprise appearance from Bayley, who interrupted an in-ring promo from Roxanne Perez, leading to a brawl between the two to close the show.
Let's face it, Bayley. You were my role model, but I think I could be yours now.
You know what, Rox? The biggest difference between me and you is that you're going to be stuck here in your own way all along while I'm going on to WrestleMania after I win the title this Friday from Tiffany Stratton.
NXT champion Oba Femi was issued a challenge in the opening segment by Tony D'Angelo. The segment concluded with Femi sneak attacked by Eddie Thorpe and D'Angelo brawling with Ridge Holland. NXT Tag Team Champions Axiom and Nathan Frazier defended their gold, turning back the challenge of Out the Mud. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend beat Alba Fire and Isla Dawn to become the number one contenders to the WWE Women's Tag Team title, while Shotzi defeated Stephanie Vacour to become the number one contender to the Women's North American title. Vacour's loss was partially caused by outside interference from Fallon Henley. In other results, Cora Jade defeated Kalani Jordan and Ethan Page defeated Dante Chen. Page continued the attack after the match, and Javon Evans tried to make the save, but Page laid him out as well. Also during the show, TNA Knockouts World Champion Masha Slamovich was shown seated in the front row. In more NXT-related news, after returning to NXT as part of the commentary team for last week's episode, Corey Graves was not included in last night's show and was reported by Mike Johnson and other sources to have been sent home. The turn of events followed critical comments Graves made on social media on Monday night, which appeared to express frustration over being removed from the SmackDown announce team and sent back down to NXT. Graves then tweeted early yesterday that he would have a lot to say on NXT, but soon after he was spotted leaving Florida for his home in Pittsburgh. Although there's been some confusion online as to whether this could be part of an angle, it was reported by both Johnson and Fightful Select that Graves' frustrations and his comments are legitimate. Graves was not mentioned in any way on last night's episode of NXT. And finally, in ratings news, last Saturday's AEW Collision drew an average of 337,000 viewers to TNT, according to Programming Insider. That's down from the previous week's audience of 345,000. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic held steady from the previous week at .09. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.